Now, this is a violation of the criminal law, and Mr. Starr, I think, needs to be investigated. If we're going to allow the subpoena power in a criminal investigation to be used with that intimidating purpose, we're looking more at a police state. I fear that Governor Bush is going to have to give in and answer all those questions. The proof is in the pudding. We talked about what caused him to change his mind from taking a bullet for Donald Trump.
Lanny Davis has the experience. Michael Cohen's former lawyer and advisor, also, as you saw there, served as special counsel to then President Clinton. Welcome back, sir.
Ari Melber, you're terrible to show me looking so young and good looking compared to today.
Hey, we're all getting older, and it's good to just be alive. I think we could all agree on that at a time of many debates. But when we look at your experience there, you've been around both law and politics for a minute, as they say. I want to show you what Michael Cohen, who we know you've been close to, what his testimony got in terms of its reception. There are analysts who say he was cool under pressure, that he was calm, instrumental in the incriminating material he provided about Donald Trump, and compelling. Others here, and we're sourcing from the Times, the Post, and other accounts, said his credibility was ultimately sharply undermined by showing his own manipulations and outright lies. Lanny, I show that to remind citizens and viewers of the breadth of reaction. At times he was damning, cool, and calm, I think it's fair to say. I witnessed him in the courtroom myself. But you see those other accounts saying that he was also shown to be a liar. Your response tonight?
Well, first of all, I'm going to surprise you by saying I agree with both, but they're not important. Yes, he was a liar, as he said nationally, publicly, in front of Congress, under oath. Dirty deeds, lied for Donald Trump. I am ashamed. He owned them. And so the part of Michael Cohen that was the subject of cross-examination demonstrated that part of him. But he also said, I now need to tell the truth. And the direct words had something to do with helping him write these words, was for my country and for my family. But let me tell you why I think this is way too emphasized, both myself and everybody else, about Michael. I submit, and I will prove to you if you give me 60 seconds. I've gotten it down to 60 seconds.
Okay.
You don't Michael Cohen's testimony for a jury to convict Donald Trump beyond a reasonable doubt. Now, it's up to the jury to decide that, but I'm telling you that there are two issues for the jury to decide. Issue one, what was the primary motivation of the hush money payment? If that motivation had anything to do with the campaign and politics, check that box, is guilt. And of course, you heard Hope Hicks, David Pecker, and the attorney for Stormy Daniels say this was about the campaign, not about Melania. So check that box. No Michael Cohen testimony needed. The second one is a little bit more difficult to understand. His testimony when he called Keith Schiller and Schiller hands the phone to Donald Trump. Everybody knew that the way Michael and anyone communicated with Mr. Trump was to call Keith Schiller. The fact that he didn't mention that he was also being harassed, and he mentioned that to Schiller, and the Perry Mason moment with the breathless media reaction was, you lied. Well, an attorney screaming you lied isn't evidence. So what's the second question for the jury? Did Donald Trump lie when he called the payments to Stormy Daniels and the repayments to Michael Cohen legal fees? And there's a document that you don't need Michael Cohen for to decide whether they were legal fees or reimbursements for illegal acts. That document speaks for itself.
Yeah, no, I think that's fair. I think that's fair, and I'm gonna jump in. I've told viewers part of this case is on paper, and it shows Donald Trump lying, and it shows the business committing that type of fraud, of lying to the government and business. I mean, that happened according to the paper, which is separate, Lanny, from of course, whether the jury finds the full conspiracy. I want to get you on the jury instructions, and then I'll give you more time, Lanny, but this is new today. The case goes to the jury. You've been around the process. You know the instructions could matter a lot. Both sides argued well into the afternoon today about what the jury should be told, how to address New York election law. This is, of course, that key law. And as we mentioned in the broadcast, Trump's lawyers appeared to lose their effort to change the intent standard. Based on your understanding of the process and how that went today, it's not 100% complete. We don't have, for example, the instructions. Do you think that's on the right track, or do you have any concerns about that? For example, had they drastically changed the intent standard for defendant Trump, I think that could have been a big question.
No, of course not. That's what we call in law school Hornbook law. The New York judge said this is the law that we've used for these instructions in New York State for years. And it was, of course, the defense team that wants to rewrite the law because the law doesn't help them. So I think that the instructions follow the Hornbook law, which is black letter law.
Understood. And the other point you wanted to hit?
Yes, please. There's a speaking document where you don't need Michael Cohen at all. And it speaks so loud that a reasonable jury is going to say, yes, Donald Trump lied when he called them legal fees. And that can be proven by a document by Alan Weisselberg, the chief financial officer, so close to Donald Trump that he went to jail rather than testifying. And that document had a number of figures written in his handwriting, authenticated, and they added up to 420,000, including the 130 paid to silence Stormy Daniels, according to testimony. 420,000 divided by 12 equals, voila, 35,000. That's the number on the checks that Donald Trump, as a sitting president, wrote to Michael Cohen. Nothing about legal fees. As James Carville might say, it's about the math, stupid. 420 divided by 12 is 35. That's the money reimbursed to Michael Cohen, trued up so he didn't have to pay income taxes. And that math is not about legal fees. Donald Trump lied, as he has lied, saying there are legal fees when he knew perfectly well he was reimbursing Michael Cohen, as Giuliani said on television, as Trump himself called them reimbursements. If the jury decides that they were reimbursements and not legal fees, they can find a verdict on both crimes, the false recording as well as the illegal campaign contribution. No Michael Cohen needed.